All right, so we wanted to talk about vertical press using the barbell. You'll notice here the way the setup is, typically a standard shoulder press machine or shoulder press barbell, or sometimes called military press, again, will have its own station. It'll be very specific to it. It's not going to be part of a squat rack. It does get a little bit more complicated with a squat rack. Now you may ask, well, why don't we have those pieces of equipment? The reality is, this is not the optimal way to maximize the overall strength of the shoulder. A standard military press, a standard where everything's fixed except for the shoulder, is really a bodybuilding exercise because you're trying to isolate, you're trying to remove everything out of the body except for the shoulders. In performance enhancement, when we talk about training athletes, training general population so that they're stronger, bang for buck exercises, this isn't one of them. Shoulder press in general is not a bang for buck exercise. I'd rather do a push press with a client or an athlete because we're going to be developing some power, and we're also teaching the body to translate energy and effort through the kinetic chain, from the foot all the way up to the shoulder to the hand, and so that becomes more beneficial long term for a client. But you've probably seen this, you've probably heard it. This just isn't going to be my ideal shoulder exercise or shoulder vertical press exercise. But let's take a look at it. First things first, Christian is not totally vertical, and that's actually what we want. We don't want the bar to come behind the back. Becoming behind the back challenges the scapula and the shoulder because you're in external rotation and you're actually putting a lot of pressure on the scapula. It's hard for the scapula to depress and retract and externally rotate at the same time. It can be done, it just for some folks it becomes a flexibility issue, and what you'll see is they'll crank forward on their neck to accommodate that. We don't want any break in that kinetic chain. We want nice neutral tall head and neck. So if you don't have the requisite external rotation and being able to bring the shoulders down together, this is going to be a terrible exercise to force you to put behind your neck. So Christian's he's squared up, he's got his overhand grip here, bar has been centered, he's going to lift up. And again, I'm going to spot on the bar. He's bringing it right down in front of his face. Go ahead, and he's going to bring it to the top of his chest, just like the push press, straight back up, and locks it out. This is plenty of effort for the shoulders, and certainly the ideal position from an overall mechanic standpoint for most clients who might struggle with pressing behind the neck. Now, the one exception, or I might say, we often say, well, what is the client or what is the goal of the individual? You can certainly do more dumbbell stuff that's more comfortable on the shoulder, but let's say someone's a rock climber. Now, there might be a person who needs to be able to get behind his head and neck and pull up for a variety of reasons. So sometimes you can find a justification for creating a unique situation in the weight room to recreate the way someone might need to be moving in their real world, whether it's out and about in the world or it's their sport. They may need some specificity for their sport, and then we would want to maybe alter and figure out a different way to do an exercise like this.